All right, we will go on the record. Case CR 22-21-1624, State versus Lori Vallow. This is jury trial scheduled today, continuing with the state's case in chief. Is the state going to be ready to proceed this morning?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning. Is the defense ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. I'll note that all counsel is present. The defendant is present as well with her attorneys. Before we get started, I will reiterate there's a conduct order in effect in this case. The conduct order prevents any use of any device to record, photograph, or transmit sounds or images from the courtroom. I'll also note that the conduct order in paragraph 2D indicates any activity or behavior which is considered disruptive may result in removal from the courtroom. We're starting our proceedings late this morning because we do have a participant here that's caused a disruption in our courtroom proceedings based on their conduct. I've talked to the bailiffs about that. All right, thank you for sorting out that technical issue. Anyway, I had a sidebar with counsel also with their observations, talked to courthouse security, and so I am going to request at this time that the bailiffs remove this person from the courtroom for the proceedings today based on their conduct. So I'm not going to name the individual by name, but I am going to require that they be removed from the proceedings today for disrupting the courtroom. So bailiffs, if you could please identify that person and have them exit the courtroom at this time, I'll enforce that term of the order. All right, I very much appreciate the bailiffs in maintaining courtroom order for this trial as it goes forward, and as they've done so up to this point. We'll continue to strictly enforce the courtroom conduct order. I also appreciate counsel advising the court of what was observed this morning, requiring that person in attendance to be excused. So with that in mind, we are ready to proceed with this. We'll have the jurors brought in, and then just to clarify with the state, is Ms. Pastenes going to be continuing on the stand this morning?
Yes, I believe we're in the defendant's cross, so she is in the witness room just waiting.
Okay, thank you for that, Ms. Smith. So let's have the jurors brought in, and then we'll continue with her testimony.
All right, please. Jury shall present count for Your Honor.
Thank you. Please be seated. All right, the court will note all jurors are here present and properly seated, and I believe each has signed the juror affirmation before coming back in today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Again, I appreciate very much your continued service in this case and your continued compliance with the admonishments that are given to you each day when you leave. I hope you had a good break over the weekend, and we're going to continue now with the cross-examination of this witness, Zulema Pastenes. Mr. Thomas, I believe, was conducting cross-examination when we broke last week, and I'll remind you, Ms. Pastenes, you are still under oath for your testimony. So with that in mind, Mr. Thomas, you can continue your cross.
Ms. Pastenes, how are you doing today?
I'm fine.
Good.
Thank you.
Just a little bit of housekeeping. I wanted to know if over the weekend you were able to speak with the prosecution or anybody from the prosecution team?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you have a chance to review any of your notes or any of your files regarding your testimony?
No, sir.
Okay. When we were talking a little bit on Friday, we talked a little bit about a number of things. One thing that kind of bothered me over the weekend, as I was going through the testimony, was your relationship with Alex. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. So you first started dating Alex on October 31st, 2019, is that right?
We went on a first date in August of 2019.
Okay. I believe you said, you testified that October 31st was the first time that you had went on a date with him, so apparently I'm mistaken. So tell me a little bit about what happened in August.
In August, we went out to dinner. What I testified for around that happened on on October 31st, but that was the first time that we ever kissed or that we ever held hands.
Okay. So between August, going out to dinner, and October 31st, that was August of 2019, right?
Correct.
Okay. So how many times did you date between August and October 2019?
Just a couple times.
A couple more times between August, the first time you went to dinner, and the first time you kissed him was on October 31st.
Correct.
Okay. And had you talked on the phone with him between August and October 31st? Was that something that you guys did
Yes.
quite frequently or not really?
I wouldn't say quite frequently, but frequently.
Okay. And what kinds of things were you talking about?
We talked a lot about scriptures. We talked about talks that we had read. We talked about our families. We were just getting to know each other.
Just getting to know each other?
Yes.
Okay. And then between October 31st and, November the 7th, was the first time you kissed was October 31st, and then what happened in that week between October 31st and November 7th? Were you together? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Okay. It was, I was just going to try to clarify a little bit. Was there anything significant? Were you seeing each other every single day between October 31st and November 7th?
No, that would have been impossible because I was in Arizona and he was in Rexburg, Idaho.
Okay. And my understanding is that on November the 7th is when he presented you with an engagement ring. Is that right?
Correct.
And was that in Rexburg or was that in Arizona?
In Rexburg.
Okay. So you came up to see him on November the 7th?
Correct.
Okay. Were you there for that purpose or were you there for a conference or for some other purpose and you just happened to meet up with him?
No, I came specifically to spend time with him.
Okay. So he gives you an engagement ring. Had you guys talked before that time, between the kissing a week earlier and getting the engagement ring? Did the two of you talk about the possibility of getting married?
Yes. Alex was very clear that he was looking for a relationship and he wanted to get married.
And when did that come up? How did that come about? When did that come up?
I'm pretty sure that he actually talked about it the first time we went out to dinner.
The first
he
day?
wanted to have a relationship and he wanted to be married and he wanted a relationship.
Okay. And did that intrigue you? Did that frighten you? Was that kind of like awkward? What was that like?
I really don't remember if I had any reaction to what he was sharing.
Okay. What about on November 7th when he actually gave you the engagement ring? Were you, was that a surprise? Was this something that you had thought about, that he had thought about?
I was not surprised. He had told me that he was looking for a ring and he had asked for my ring size. So I was not completely surprised that that happened on that day.
And when did he ask you for your ring size?
I was it was during a few days before I came up to Rexburg.
So sometime that first week of November?
Probably, yes.
Okay. And so then you got the ring, and how long did you spend in Rexburg? On the 7th, you were obviously there on the 7th, so what other days were you there? Do you remember?
It was also a short trip, so I think that it was only like 2 to 3 days.
Okay. And did you go back home to Arizona?
Yes.
And did Alex go back home to Arizona?
No, he stayed in Rexburg.
He stayed in Rexburg. And so when was the next time you saw him physically in person?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving? So that would have been around the 23rd, 24th, something like that?
I don't remember exactly the day, but it would have been around the end of November, yes.
Okay. And then you saw him that weekend for Thanksgiving for the whole weekend?
Yes, he stayed at my house.
Okay. And was that did he come up on a Wednesday for Thanksgiving Thursday, or when? Do you recall when that was?
He came on Wednesday.
Okay. And did he stay through the weekend?
Yes.
Did he go back home after that?
No.
No. He stayed with you the whole time?
Yes.
Okay. So he comes up on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and then at some point you guys get married, right?
Correct.
And that was on December the 1st?
I don't want to give you the wrong date, but I believe it was that.
It was your wedding day. You remember your wedding day, right?
I wish I could tell you that I know exactly the date, but there has been so much trauma around that date and all of the events that happened during that time that at times it is very hard for me to remember certain things,
Okay, all right,
especially the ones that I would like to forget.
okay. And when you say you like to forget, that would be, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Is that the death of Alex?
That and among many others, yes.
Okay, what other things are traumatic with Alex during that time frame?
The fact that I went to work early on December 12th and Alex was fine, and when I came home, Alex was laying on the floor of my bathroom, dead. And then the paramedics came and they started working on him, and then they took him to the hospital, to the emergency room, and they worked on him for about an hour. And they brought me back into the room where he was connected to machines and they were doing CPR on him. And then after many efforts to revive him, I had to give the okay to have the machines turned off. That is very traumatic, sir.
Right, and I understand that, and I'm not trying to be callous or anything. And I said, other than the death of Alex Cox, was there anything else that was traumatic during that time? That's all I was getting at. Was there anything traumatic that happened to you between your wedding and when Alex passed away?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. So, you started dating in August, and he passed away in December. So, you've got some of August, September, October, November, and part of December. So 3.5, maybe 4 months that you really knew him, is that right?
That I knew him personally, yes, in that.
Okay. My question is, and my problem is that you made a statement to the prosecution that Alex would do anything for Lori, and you knew that with some sort of a surety. And so I guess my question is, how is it that you knew him between August and December, and you knew this much about him, and you didn't really spend that much time with him? So is it maybe possible that you didn't know him that well, and that maybe he wouldn't do anything for Lori?
I would have to disagree on that, and the reason why I have to disagree on that is because of the way that Alex expressed himself whenever he wanted to do something or make a decision on something. He felt that he always needed to have Lori and Chad's per se permission or okay. And to give you a couple examples of that would be when Chad told him in a blessing that he was going to be moving to Rexburg and that he would be one of the warriors in Rexburg. The following day, he took a plane and came back to Rexburg with Chad to immediately come and check out the area, and he eventually moved up here. The other significant reason why I say that is because after we got married, we were talking about how we were going to be living with her. I had already told him that I was not going to be moving to Rexburg and that my family, my work, my life was in Arizona. And he was at the time still had all his stuff and living in Rexburg. And so we were discussing on how we were going to, what we were going to do. And he said, well, before I make any decisions, I need to ask Chad and Lori what I should do.
So he was asking for some advice, right?
I will call it direction, sir.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and hand you what's been marked as Defense Exhibits A and B. The state has a copy, and this is a courtesy copy for the court.
I'm sorry, counsel, you did give us a copy. Which one you're giving them both?
A and B, yeah.
Okay.
Can you identify what I just handed you?
It looks like there are copies of texts. Between Chad and me and the other one appears to be between Lori and I.
Mm-hmm. Do you recall testifying at the grand jury?
Yes.
Do you recall identifying these specific documents as being text messages between you and Chad and you and Lori?
Yeah, I believe so. Mm-hmm.
So they don't appear to be what they are. I mean, they are those text messages, right?
Okay, yes.
You previously identified them? Mm-hmm. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I'd like you to turn to Exhibit A, page number 17.
Judge, just for the record, can we have these identified in the date range? The state isn't going to object to their admission, but could we have a little bit more description of A and B on the record so that the witness and jurors know what she's looking at?
Yes, so
Sure.
for starters, Mr. Thomas, are you moving to admit A and B?
I am moving to admit A and B, Judge.
All right,
They were previously
I
admitted they were previously admitted in the grand jury.
And state's indicated no objection, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so Defendant's Exhibit A and Defendant's Exhibit B are both admitted. And then Mr. Thomas, it's just a request to identify specifically where in the admitted exhibits you're going. So if you do that, please.
Sure. Ms. Pastenes, I'd like you to turn to Exhibit A, which is an extraction report, Cellbrite report. And I'd like for you to turn to page 17. It would be item number 224. And I'd like for you to read for me and for the court what the text message says.
It says, "Hello, Chad. I had a conversation with my daughter. Kara today, and it didn't go well. She doesn't want to go to Rexburg, and she feels like I'm abandoning her if I leave without her. I feel really bad right now. I had a prompting there other day to ask you if you could see who she was before in this life. She may be able to start seeing truth. I was told this week that I will go to Rexburg eventually, but not right now. So I just need to prepare for when that eventually is. Thank you for always being there for me. I'm so grateful for you.
And what was the response on number 225? This was Chad speaking to you, right?
Thank you, Zulema. I will find out about Kara. I agree with you about Rexburg, not immediately, but eventually. I'm so grateful for you too. Let's talk soon.
So in 224, you said, I was told this week that I will go to Rexburg. Do you recall seeing that?
Eventually, but not right now.
Okay. I guess what I'm asking is, you're saying that Chad told you, and I'm asking who told you.
During this time, I was quite confused. I have to tell you the context of this, because otherwise it gets taken out of context.
That's what we're trying to do.
During this time, Lori and Chad were really pushing me to move to Rexburg, and they continued to do that throughout this whole entire time. Chad had even given me blessings telling me that I needed to move to Rexburg. It didn't make sense to me to move to Rexburg since I didn't have anybody there. No, didn't have my life, my job, my family was not there. And they continued to push me. And I really, really trusted these people. I trusted that they said that they were who they said they were. Chad said that he didn't have a veil, that he could see to the other side, and that he was constantly being guided by angels and by other heavenly beings. Lori had said that she had conversations with Jesus Christ. I trusted them. It was very hard for me during this time, and I was very confused. So I started praying and asking if I could have an answer of myself of what I needed to do. And during one time when I was praying, I heard this exactly how it is here. You will go to Rexburg eventually, but not right now. And I knew that was my answer. That eventually could have been any other time, but not at that time.
So it wasn't Chad pushing you, and it wasn't Lori pushing you. It was
Oh,
the
yes,
Lord,
they were, sir.
It was the Lord telling you, right? You prayed about it, and this was your answer?
I'm going to repeat that.
Just yes or no.
Chad and Lori.
No, I'm
Chad-
sorry. Yes or no.
Judge, I'm going to object. If you would allow the witness to answer, she's trying to answer his question, but he cuts her off.
Well, in that aspect, it was a yes or no direct leading question, or a leading question, so you can re-ask your question if you want, and the witness doesn't necessarily get to go into further detail if it's just a yes/no question.
So yes or no, did you pray about it?
Yes.
And yes or no, did the Lord tell you that you would eventually go to Rexburg?
Yes, but not right now.
Okay. So it wasn't Chad and Lori who were pushing you to go to Rexburg?
Yes, sir, they were.
Okay.
And every blessing they gave me.
Apparently we're going to have to do this a different way. All right, let's turn to page 1 of Exhibit 59.
Defendant's Exhibit A, you're right,
I'm sorry.
Your Honor.
Defendant's Exhibit A.
Just making sure.
Apologize.
Thanks.
And I'd like you to read item number 5. Out loud, please.
I woke up this morning and the first thing I heard was, "I have made you mine," and it was a man's voice.
Sorry. So for our court reporter, if you can read a little more slowly on those texts, please, that'll help the record stay clear. Thank you.
I woke up this morning and the first thing I heard was, "I have made you mine," and it was a man's voice, not my voice. I believe I'm on the right path and I'm getting closer. I feel so much better today than in the past week, so all you did for me worked. I'm starting to feel myself again.
And this is from you to Chad, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. Now please turn to page 5. Item number 57. This is you talking to Chad again, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Can you read item number 57?
I have a couple of questions for you. Do I have a calling and election made sure? Will I have a calling and election made sure? Will I have a second comforter? Do I look after these things? And ... how will I know when and how to go to the temple when the call out happens?
Okay. And that text message was on January 24th, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then you sent him another message a minute later, starting with, "The Lord has placed a new yearning," is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can you go ahead and read that one?
The Lord has placed a new yearning in my heart. It's so beautiful. I only want to read, study, learn, go to the temple and serve Him. I'm really leaving the world behind. He's telling me there's no time. He's telling me there's no time for anything else. So I have questions come up as I study and go to the temple.
Okay. And that's you talking to Chad, and then Chad answers you, is that correct?
Yes.
And that is a couple of hours later. And what does he say to you? Can you read that?
I am so excited for you, Zulema. You're on the right path. As a multiple creation person, you have already received your calling and election, as well as the second comforter. I know you have a close relationship with the Savior, and that's what those really mean. Don't worry, you will know when to gather. I actually feel you'll be among the first people to gather to the safest white camps. You're part of the team! !
Okay. And this next one, number 60, is you responding to that. Can you read that?
I just got chills all over my body reading your text. That's the reason why the voice came to me saying, "I have made you mine," because he already had ! Or, "Oh, it's so amazing! !
So when you're talking about I have made you mine, that's what you just talked about earlier, is that right? When you woke up in the morning and he said, a male voice said, "I have made you mine"?
Correct.
Okay, so you're talking about the Lord talking to you directly?
Yes.
Okay. Were there times when you called Chad or called on Chad to heal you from some pain or some spiritual binding or something to that effect?
Yes.
Okay. And was one of those times right around Christmas, right after Christmas 2018, when you had a shoulder issue? Do you recall that?
No, I don't recall that.
Okay. Would you please turn to page 3? It will be item number 23. Should be the top of the page.
Yes.
Can you go ahead and read that? That's you talking to Chad, right? Or you texting Chad?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Merry Christmas, exclamation mark. I hope you had a beautiful time with your family. Could you tell me if I have weapons on my back? I think I'm being attacked again.
Okay. What did you mean by that?
Lori and Chad always taught that when you had any kind of physical pain or any emotional thing like depression or anything like that happening with you, that it was usually it was attack from the dark side, and that it was usually evil spirits attacking your body or your emotions.
And did you believe that?
I did.
Okay. And this particular occasion, you felt like you were having some sort of attack from the demons in your back?
Yes.
Okay. And did this resolve on its own, or did Chad do something to resolve that for you spiritually?
I don't recall this, so...
Let's keep reading.
Okay.
Let's do number 24 on that same page, page 3. Go ahead.
Hi, Zulema. I have captured and sealed away the evil spirits that were attacking you, and I have removed the weapons from you. I am healing the damage.
Okay. And did you feel like that actually worked, or do you think that was just hocus pocus?
There were times when Chad would say that he was doing some kind of energy work or some kind of taking all those spirits away, that I would actually feel better afterwards.
And this was one of those times, right?
Like I said, I don't recall this this conversation. So
okay, let's
it's
read
possible.
Let's read number 27 on that same page. This is you talking to Chad on a text.
Okay. Oh my goodness, I can move my shoulder blade now! Exclamation mark. Thank you! Exclamation mark.
Okay. And the first text was at 9:06 p.m., correct?
Correct.
And the text that you said you could now move your shoulder blade was at 9:22 p.m., correct? Okay. So in that 15-minute span, you feel like you were healed?
I felt better. Apparently, yes.
Did Chad or Lori ever tell you to hurt anyone spiritually?
No.
Okay. Your work was always for the good, for light, right?
At the time, I believed it to be so, sir, yes.
But somehow, after that time, you now believe that you were working for the dark side or for darkness or evil?
At the time, I believed that we were doing something good to help get rid of darkness and evil spirits off of the earth. Now I believe that the intentions were different and very evil.
So your intentions were different and very evil?
No, sir. I believe that Chad and Lori's intentions were very evil.
In telling you that they loved you, that you were doing such a great job, that you were turning away these evil spirits, those kinds of things?
No, sir, I don't believe that. Those things that they were saying were evil, manipulative, most definitely. But those things were not evil. The result of all of this was, yes.
And we'll get into the result a little bit later. Let's move on to page number 9, item number 108. This was you texting Chad. Can you read that for me?
Hi, Chad. How are you? I wanted to tell you I've been given a new weapon of light fire. I'm practicing and using it. I used it this weekend quite a bit to heal the girls when they were attacked. I was attacked a lot this weekend. A lot, exclamation mark. I'm using the fire to heal me, but I still feel my body in pain and worn out. Can you please do some healing on me?
So tell me what light fire is.
I'm trying to find the words to explain that. It is like, it is like imagining in your mind and with the intention of having a very, like a light aura that perhaps has some fire around it, and putting it around somebody or some kind of wound to help it heal.
So light fire is a healing weapon that you had.
At that time, yes.
Okay. And who gave you that healing weapon?
I don't remember. I don't recall. I don't even recall this conversation. I'm sorry.
Do you ever recall using light fire?
Yes, I do, sir.
Okay. And you always used it for good?
Correct.
And you always used it for healing purposes?
For healing purposes and during the castings as well.
And during the castings out of evil spirits?
Correct.
Okay. This weekend, my team and I were talking a little bit about your testimony, and there was some debate as to whether or not.
Objection to the commentary, Your Honor.
I'll sustain that.
Okay. Do you have a portal in your home?
No, sir.
Have you ever had a portal in your home?
No, sir.
Okay. Can you please turn to page 10? Item number 126. This is you speaking to Chad or texting Chad. Is that right?
Yes.
And what's the date on that?
April 8th, 2019.
Can you read that for me?
I would love that. I want to see if you could help me create a portal at home to get answers at.
Okay. So do you recall asking Chad about how to make a portal or how to help you create a portal at home?
I don't recall saying that, but it's there, so yes, I did ask him.
So you asked, but you never had a portal at your house?
No.
Okay. You recall doing some castings out of demons with Lori and some of the other women that were in your small group, correct?
Correct.
And one of those castings out was a demon by the name of Garrett. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And you didn't cast him out by yourself. There were some other people in that particular prayer meeting. Is that right?
Correct.
And you specifically asked that this demon be released from its host or its body, right?
Correct.
And did that actually happen?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No. And the reason why I say that is because Lori always had to check with Chad to ask if it had been done correctly or not. And then she would say, yes, it was done, or no, it was not done. But it wouldn't be something that I would know whether it was done or not. So we would get confirmation from Chad.
And did you get confirmation from Chad that this entity had left Charles Vallow?
Yes.
Okay. And so that was a successful casting?
According to them, yes.
Well, what about according to you?
I didn't know whether it was done correctly or effectively, or if we had cast out a evil spirit or a demon. I only had faith that they were telling us the truth.
So you never had faith that any of your castings had ever actually come true? You never knew with a surety, I guess.
Objection. Can the witness be allowed to answer?
Yeah, I will sustain that. She was in the middle of an answer, Mr. Thomas.
Okay.
I personally didn't have a confirmation that those evil spirits or demons were cast out. I trusted and believed what Lori and Chad were saying that had happened as a result.
Okay. And then this particular demon left Charles Vallow, and there was another demon that went into Charles Vallow. Is that right?
That's what Lori and Chad said, yes.
But you didn't think this was true?
I believed what they said, yes.
Okay. So you thought that another demon was in Charles as well?
Yes, I believed them.
Okay. And Charles passed away on what day? Do you recall?
July 11th.
Okay. And that was in 2019?
Yes.
Do you recall what you were doing that day in the morning?
I was at temple.
You were at the temple? Okay. Can you turn to page 5 of exhibit B? Can you turn to number 69 and 70, and can you read those?
I'm on my way to the temple. I'll be in the celestial room.
So 69 is I'm on my way to the temple, and 70 is I'll be in the celestial room, correct?
Correct.
Do you recall what you were doing?
Objection, Your Honor. Can we just have the Since we switched exhibits, can we have the to and from so that puts these in context, please?
With switching exhibits, I do think, indicate who these communications involve.
Okay. Exhibit B is an extraction report. If you'll turn to the front page, is that correct? To the front page 1?
Yes.
And the participants are 564 806 929 562. Is that your number? Is that your phone number? Or was that your phone number?
Those are Lori's numbers.
Oh, those are both Lori's numbers?
Correct.
Okay. So this is you talking to Lori. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So 69, you're talking to Lori, right? And you say, I'm on my way to the temple? On page 5?
Correct.
Okay. And on number 70, page 5, you say, I'll be in the celestial room?
Correct.
Okay. And then number 71, would you read that for me?
As I was working on Hiplos today in the temple, I was told he will be taken as he is. I don't know what that means. Then I was shown to only put light, the brightest light, from the top and the bottom at the same time, meaning in the middle. So I've been doing that all day. 7-Eleven. I hope today is a good day for all of this to end.
Okay. So you were in the temple. You went into the temple sometime shortly before 9 a.m. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And are you allowed to bring your phone into any of the rooms in the temple?
No.
Okay. So you didn't have your phone between, say, 8:54 when you first texted that and 11:30, that's a long time. So between 8:54, how long were you at the temple that day? Do you recall?
I don't remember how long I was there.
Okay. And so you specifically recall that you were at the temple and that this specific thing happened to you?
Yes, I remember this.
Okay. And this was when you were casting out Hiplos?
Yes, sir. I was supposed to meet Lori at the temple that day. And we were supposed to be working on Hiplos together. And she didn't come.
Okay. But you had an experience where you did some casting out of Hiplos in the celestial room of the temple, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Was there a time, and I specifically don't have this, it wasn't attached to the grand jury exhibit, but was there a time that you had an experience in the temple where you went to the Phoenix Temple in the celestial room and some heavenly beings showed up? Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
This is something you won't soon forget, right? I mean, it was pretty spiritual,
Yes.
pretty powerful.
Yes.
You said the Heavenly Father was there?
Yes, I believe so.
And Heavenly Mother was there?
I believe so.
And Jesus was there?
Yes.
And your eternal husband was there?
Yes.
And who was that?
I couldn't see who was.
Do you recall what happened on that day?
No, sir.
You remember that you saw Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, Jesus in the temple, but you don't know what happened? I'll withdraw the question, Judge. No further questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thomas. Let's get the exhibits, and then if there's redirect, Ms. Smith.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
You may.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, do you need a minute? Or can we proceed?
We can proceed.
Okay. On cross, Mr. Thomas asked you and questions about your view on people, and you said on cross that you try to look for the good in people. Did I hear that right?
Correct.
Okay. And in part of looking for the good in people, that's based in your personal faith and your beliefs as a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so in answering his questions, a lot of your questions were about trying to see Lori you started out trying to see Lori as a good person and a person of faith like yourself.
Correct.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about that. We'll turn to Defendant's Exhibits A and Defendant's Exhibits B. So the exhibit, the defense counsel admitted, Exhibit B is a cell phone extraction of your cell phone because you allowed law enforcement to take your phone and to, dump or download your phone, right?
Correct.
Okay. And that they took out the phone numbers and some of the texts that between you and Lori, right?
Correct.
Okay. And on this exhibit, there are two phone numbers that Lori would text you from that aren't just in this exhibit, right?
Correct.
Okay. And can you just read those numbers into the record so that we have them for future use? It's the numbers where it says participants.
Yes. 56480-692-9562.
Okay. And the second one?
1-480-692-9562.
Okay. And these are text messages that only go from in Exhibit B, where you just read those phone numbers, from February 5th of 2019 to August 30th of 2019. If you want to look at the first page and page 20.
That is correct.
Okay. So there'd been text and communications before that, right?
Yes.
And there were text and communications after August, right?
Correct.
But these text and communications for Lori were fairly, with Lori, were very typical of your conversations with her, weren't they?
Yes.
Okay. In fact, in Exhibit B, at least 14 times, Lori calls you a goddess or a powerful being or special.
Yes.
Okay. And she also would talk about your powers and your ability to influence the elements, wouldn't she?
Yes.
Okay. And so these texts, that's what she would say in text. Would she say similar things to you personally in conversations?
Yes.
Did she tell you you were special?
She said that I was very special, that my mission was the most important one, and that they always were looking out for me because my mission was the most important one.
And did she just say that once, or did she say that more than once?
Several times.
Okay. Over the course of, the year and a half you were friends with her.
Correct.
Okay. And Chad, he would call you a goddess.
Yes.
In fact, in one of the texts, he called you a goddess of the earth.
Correct.
And he, in his communications with you, he would regularly tell you how special you were, right?
Yes, all the time.
And he, in his texts and his calls with you, he let you know that you had a special mission to fulfill, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that special mission was a mission that he identified for you, right?
Yes.
And that special mission he gave you, he and Lori would reiterate in text and email and phone calls about how special you were and how special your powers were, right?
Yes.
And how did that make you respond when they constantly let you know how special you were? They constantly drew on faith and your belief. How did you feel?
It made me feel very good and very special. I started to really believe it.
Okay. And so they would have these conversations with you, and they would make you feel this way. And did you feel empowered?
Objection, leading
Yes.
judge.
Well, it's asked already, it's been responded to, but it is leading.
Understand? I'll slow it down. My question is, if Chad and Lori made you feel special and empowered, did you ever see that they did the same thing with other people?
Yes, they did the same with other people as well.
Okay. What about Alex? Did you see the same sort of pattern happen with Alex?
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of how they made Alex feel empowered and special?
They told him that Alex had been the angel that had come to Saul before he became Paul, and he was the one that had talked to him and made him blind, and at that time so that he would mend his ways and become a follower of Jesus Christ. They also told him that he had been an angel before, and that he was an angel that had appeared to Joseph Smith, and they told him that he had been in other creations. He had been exalted with his wife. His wife's name was Holly, and that he had been a very powerful warrior, and that he had unmasked Satan in another creation, and that is the reason why Satan had so much animosity towards him.
So let me ask you, you had multiple conversations with Alex. Did Alex believe what Lori and Chad told him about his power from his previous lives?
Yes, he believed it.
In fact, if I remember some other evidence correctly, did Alex, after hearing about the need to move to Rexburg, quit his job?
Yes, he quit his job and he moved to Rexburg.
Okay, he sold items, and that was at the direction of Lori and the direction of Chad.
Yes, they gave him a blessing and told him to move to Rexburg.
So make sure I understand, he quit his job and moved to Rexburg.
Yes, he even left a lot of his belongings in his house, and he broke his lease and moved to Rexburg.
And one of his, do I have this right? One of his primary missions was to protect Lori? Is that correct?
Chad and Lori were telling him that the only reason why he had come to Earth in this time was the sole purpose was to protect Lori.
So each time the group did a casting, and I want to make sure the castings weren't a prayer group, were they?
Yes, some of them were.
Okay. And the castings themselves, were they part of a prayer service, or did they have another added element?
There was added elements to it.
Okay. I don't, we've heard a lot about it, so I'm not going to go down there, but I guess my question is, each time that there was a casting done on the demon or the dark spirit that was in Charles Vallow, did each dark spirit, according to Lori and what she told you, each time that a dark spirit entered Charles, did that dark spirit get stronger?
Judge, again, she's leading it, and she's been doing
I'm
this
trying to
quite a bit.
transition. I'll move quickly.
It's sustained. It's
Okay.
leading.
All right. Can you tell me, did the strength of the spirit that entered Charles Vallow each time after a casting, did it increase or decrease?
Again, Judge, this is leading.
Overruled that time.
Thank you.
Lori said that the first one had just followed him for a couple years and knew everything about him. The second one was a very powerful one that had been around for hundreds of years and had done that very many times. And then by the time we got to Hyblos, Hyblos was a very powerful, extremely powerful demon, and this one was almost impossible to cast out because he was so experienced and so powerful.
And so, in order for a body, not a person, not to be possessed again by another dark spirit, the body had to be destroyed. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And Alex believed that.
Alex believed everything they told him.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Smith. That will conclude the testimony then for this witness. You can go ahead and be excused. Is the witness under subpoena?
I apologize. I was struggling to turn on the mic this morning. I apologize. Judge, I would ask that she be excused.
All right. Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. The witness can be excused and released from the subpoena if there was one issued. All right, the state can call its next witness.
State calls Colby Ryan.
All right, Mr. Ryan, before we get started, just a few things. First, have you followed any of the testimony of this trial online, on the news, or watched it from any of the viewing locations?
No.
Okay, thank you for that. Also, we are making a record with the court reporter, so please make verbal responses to any questions and try to avoid speaking at the same time as anyone asking you any questions.
Sounds good.
With that in mind, Mr. Wood, you can inquire.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan, can you state your name and spell your last name for the record?
So it's Colby Ryan. Last name is Ryan.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan, how do you know the defendant, Lori Vallow?
She's my mother.
Okay. I'd ask that the witness be shown State's Exhibits 6 and 4.
Those are previously admitted, correct?
Yes.
All right. Exhibits 6 and 4 are both being shown to the witness.
Mr. Ryan, can you just briefly look at those and familiarize yourself with those exhibits? And then, if Your Honor, if I could publish those to the jury very quickly.
You can.
Mr. Ryan, I'm going to show you what's been previously marked and admitted. State's Exhibit 6. Do you recognize that person?
Yes.
Who is that?
That's my sister, Tylee Bryan.
Okay. What was your specific relation with Tylee Ryan?
She was my half-sister.
Okay. Mr. Ryan, I'm going to show you what's been marked previously and admitted as State's Exhibit 4. Do you know that person?
Yes.
Who was that?
My little brother, JJ Vallow.
Okay. What's your specific relation with J.J. Vallow?
He was my adopted brother.
Okay. Mr. Ryan, do you know who Charles Vallow was?
Yes.
Who was he?
He's my stepfather.
Okay. Do you know approximately how long he was your stepfather?
13 years, I think.
Okay. Do you recall the day that Charles Vallow died?
Yes.
Okay. Did you happen to have a conversation with Lori Vallow about how he died?
Yes.
Where were you when you had that conversation?
I was at work
Okay. What time of day was it?
around 2 or 3 p.m.
Okay. And was it on the telephone?
Yes.
Did you call her or did she call you?
She called me.
Okay. What did she tell you about Charles Vallow's death?
She told me that he had died from a heart attack.
From a heart attack.
From a heart attack.
Okay. Did she say anything about him being shot?
No.
Okay. Did you go over to Lori Vallow's house that day?
Yes.
When did you go over?
After my shift around 7, so I got there around 7:30.
Okay. What did you see when you got there?
When I opened the door, Tylee had answered the door and gave me a hug, and I didn't see anybody else in the house when I opened the door.
Okay. Did you go inside?
Yes.
What did you see when you went inside?
After I saw Tylee, I saw Alex sitting on the couch watching TV.
Okay. And did you observe anything out of the ordinary about Alex? And let me clarify, is this Alex Cox?
Yes.
Okay. Did you observe anything out of the ordinary about Alex Cox?
Yes.
What was that?
He was wearing a white bandage around his head.
Okay. Did you speak with him?
Yes.
What was the nature of that conversation?
I asked him why he was wearing the bandage, and he said that he got hit in the head with a bat and then shot Charles.
Okay. Was that the first time you heard that Charles had been shot?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see Lori Vallow that night?
Yes.
What was her general demeanor?
Calm.
Okay. Did you ever have a chance to speak with Lori Vallow about Charles Vallow's life insurance policy?
Yes.
When was that conversation?
A few weeks after Charles was killed.
And what did she tell you?
She just had mentioned that she wasn't receiving any of the life insurance money from Charles.
Okay. Was it your understanding from your conversation that Lori Vallow believed she was the beneficiary of Charles's life insurance policy until after he died?
Yes.
Okay. When Charles was alive, did you ever have occasion to speak with Lori Vallow about her and Charles's finances?
Yes.
How often would that happen?
I would say maybe monthly or twice a month, or twice every other month.
Okay. What was the general nature of those conversations?
Mostly to tell me that they were, quote unquote, out of money.
I'll object to any hearsay, Your Honor. I don't know who he's referring to.
The question was regarding Lori Vallow.
I'll overrule it.
Well, he's quoting either Charles or Lori. I don't know which.
All right, why don't you ask another question, Mr. Wood, and clarify who the
Sure.
speaker would be?
Thank you. Mr. Ryan, in regards to the question I just asked, were those conversations with Lori Vallow?
Yes.
Okay. And you testified that she would frequently tell you that she and Charles were out of money?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you know who Tylee Ryan's father was?
Yes.
Okay. Who was he?
Joe Ryan.
Do you know if he is alive or deceased?
He's deceased.
Do you know when that happened?
In 2018.
Okay. Do you know when in 2018?
I don't remember.
Okay. Were you aware if Tylee Ryan received Social Security benefits when Joe Ryan passed away?
Yes.
I'll object. Foundation.
There would need to be additional foundation there,
Okay.
Mr. Wood, to know how this witness would have that information.
All right. Colby, Mr. Ryan, did you ever speak with Tylee Ryan about money?
Yes.
Are you aware she had a bank account?
Yes.
Did you ever receive money from Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
And how did you know where the money she gave you came from?
I'll object, Your Honor. That can only be answered by hearsay.
I tend to agree with that, Mr. Wood. Is there some exception to the hearsay rule that would apply?
Declarant unavailable because she's deceased.
Well, there are different rules for declaring unavailable. I don't know that this falls within any of the exceptions for an unavailable.
I'll rephrase the question, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wood.
Did you ever receive money from Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
Okay. How often would that usually happen?
Mostly just randomly through Venmo, maybe.
Okay. And so you would receive money from her through Venmo?
Yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, did Lori Vallow ever send you money by sending it to Tylee, who would then forward it to you through Venmo?
Yes.
And how do you know that?
I would speak with my mom, and then she would send it to Tylee, and Tylee would use Venmo to send it to me.
Okay. I'm going to call your attention to September 8th, 2019. Did you have a text conversation with Tylee Ryan that day?
Yes.
What was the general nature of that text conversation?
I had asked her if she could transfer money over from Venmo to me.
And how did she respond?
I'll object, Your Honor. Hearsay.
All right, what's the response?
Your Honor, it's not being offered for the truth of the matter. It's offered to being show the effect on the witness.
If it's not offered for the truth, Your Honor, then it's not relevant.
Your Honor, there's many times evidence comes in not for the truth of the matter where it's relevant.
I'm going to find, given the background here of what's already been laid in a foundation, I'll overrule the objection finding under Rule 804B6 that this can come in as evidence of a material fact.
Okay.
So you may want to re-ask the question so the witness can answer, Mr. Wood.
Can I ask the court reporter what my last question was?
What was the general nature of that text conversation? The answer, I would ask her if she could transfer money over from Venmo to me. Question, and how did she respond?
Okay. How did she respond when you asked her to send money to you?
She said that she was no longer in control of her money and that my mom was handling it.
Okay. Did you happen to speak to your mom that day?
Yes.
On September 8th, 2019?
Yes.
Did she tell you where they were?
Yes.
Were you able to hear Tylee on that phone call?
Yes.
Where were they?
They said that they were in the Yellowstone gift shop.
Okay. And is that Yellowstone National Park?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever happen to have a conversation with Lori Vallow after Charles Vallow's death about your sister's money?
Yes.
What was the nature of that conversation?
I don't really remember.
Okay. Do you recall your mother speaking specifically about Tylee Ryan's money?
I think so.
Okay. And do you recall if she mentioned her use of that money?
She mentioned that she was going to be using that money for their lives' bills and taking care of them while she found a new job.
Okay. Mr. Ryan, were you contacted by the Gilbert police on the night of November 27th, 2019?
Yes.
What was the purpose of that contact?
They were asking where Tylee was first, and then afterwards they asked me where JJ was.
Okay. Was Tylee with you on November 27th of 2019?
No.
Was JJ with you on the night of November 27th, 2019?
No.
At that time, had you had cause to be concerned about Tylee Ryan?
Yes.
What gave rise to that concern?
My conversations over text with her.
Okay. And what was it about your conversations in text with Tylee that gave you concern?
When I first texted her, I had followed up with a few different phone calls and FaceTimes. And then the texts I was receiving back were just in different language than how Tylee would type and talk, and just the way she used her punctuation and things like that. It was just different.
Okay. So was it fair to say you felt like it wasn't Tylee you were speaking with?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know approximately how long you continued to receive text messages from her after you felt like it changed?
A little bit after her birthday, on the 24th, September 24th.
Okay. Did you continue to receive money from her Venmo after September of 2019?
I think so.
Okay. Do you know approximately how many times you received money from her?
I know The ones I remember were Cash App, but
Okay.
I can't remember the Venmos specifically.
Okay. So did you receive money from a Cash App?
Yes.
Okay. And was that under Tylee's name?
No.
Whose name was that under?
It was under, there was two different accounts. One was under Lori Vallow, and I think the other one was Lori Vallow something else.
Okay. After Charles Vallow died, did Lori Vallow tell you she was going to get married again soon?
Yes.
When was this conversation?
A few weeks after.
Okay. Did she tell you who she was going to marry?
No.
Okay. I'm going to go back to when the Gilbert police contacted you on the night of November 27th, 2019. Did you contact Lori Vallow after the Gilbert police visited?
Yes.
What did you say to her?
I asked her what was going on, why they were looking for the kids, and just to try to tell me what was happening.
Okay. Did you know where Lori Vallow was on November 27th?
No.
Were you aware if she had moved from the Phoenix area?
Yes.
Okay. Did she ever tell you where she moved to?
No.
Did you have a conversation with her about where she had moved to?
No.
Okay. Did you ever ask her where she was?
Yes.
How did she respond?
When she initially moved, she just told me she was moving somewhere cold and that it was dangerous for her to tell anybody where she was going.
Okay. You said you spoke with her on the night of November 27th, 2019, the day before Thanksgiving. Did you try to contact her on Thanksgiving?
Yes.
What happened?
Her phone was disconnected.
Okay. Were you able to contact her after that?
No.
The state has no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wood. Mr. Archibald, do you want to start your cross at this point, or would you like to take our mid-morning break and start cross after the break? I'll leave it up to you. Okay, I think the timing works out well for that, so we'll go ahead and take our mid-morning break, and then Mr. Archibald can commence with his cross-examination after that, so right around 10:30.
All rise, please.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. We're back on the record on case CR 22-21-1624, State of Idaho versus Lori Vallow. We just concluded our mid-morning break. I briefly discussed with counsel in chambers an issue of the ordering of witnesses at this time, understanding the defense intended to call Mr. Ryan also as a witness, so I'll allow some latitude in the scope of the cross-exam based on that representation and allow the state any further redirect as well. So with that in mind, we'll have the jurors brought back in and you can commence with your cross-examination then, Mr. Archibald.
Rise, please. Jury's not present counted for, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Please be seated. All right, we'll next continue with any cross-examination. Mr. Archibald, you can cross-examine at this time. I'll remind the witness, Mr. Ryan, you're still under oath for purposes of your testimony today.
Good morning, Mr. Ryan.
Morning.
How old are you?
27.
And your mom is Lori, and who's your dad?
My dad is William LaJoya.
And as a child, did you have a relationship with him?
No,
As a child, who raised you?
my mother.
And then did you also have a stepdad?
Yes,
And what was his name?
Joseph Ryan.
And is that where you get the surname Ryan?
Yes,
So did Joseph Ryan actually ever adopt you, or did you just take his name?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But as far as you know, your name is Colby Ryan.
Yes,
All right. And are you single or married?
I'm married.
And how many children do you have?
2,
And how old are they?
4, and 1.
And has Lori ever met your children?
Objection relevance.
What's the relevance of that?
It's just foundation, Your Honor, just background.
I'll overrule that objection. You can answer.
She met my oldest daughter when she was a baby.
And you have siblings, Tylee and JJ?
I did.
And how much older are you than Tylee?
6 years.
And how much older are you than JJ?
I'm not exactly sure the age difference.
Was your early childhood with your mom and Joe Ryan, was that a good childhood or bad?
Bad.
And why is that?
Objection relevance.
Overruled.
Without going into the details, Mr. Ryan, did your stepfather abuse you?
Objection relevance, and I think we need to approach.
Let's have a sidebar, counsel. All right, after a sidebar, the court is going to sustain the state's objection. I'll instruct the jury to disregard that last question that was asked. It won't be answered. And Mr. Archibald, you can continue your inquiry.
Did your mother, Lori, protect you from Joe Ryan?
Same objection.
Overruled.
Yes,
Did she protect your sister, Tylee, from Joe Ryan?
yes,
When your mother, Lori, protected you from Joe Ryan, was that by moving away from him?
yes,
And was that also by divorcing him?
yes,
And then your next stepdad was Charles Vallow.
yes,
And did you have a good relationship with him?
yes,
And did he treat you better than Joe Ryan?
absolutely.
And you were able to form a relationship with Charles Vallow?
Yes,
And did you and your brother and sister, Tylee and JJ, have fun times growing up with Charles Vallow?
yes,
Did Did you have a good relationship with Tylee and JJ?
Yes.
Now, did Tylee have some health issues?
Yes.
What did she have?
When she was younger, she had pancreatitis and had to go to the hospital for that.
And pancreatitis can be sometimes a painful, debilitating disease.
Yes.
Okay. And so you saw that in Tylee, that she'd have to go to the hospital for that.
Yes.
And did JJ have special needs?
Yes.
And do you know what those were?
I think he was diagnosed with autism.
And did your mother, Lori, care for your needs, Tylee's needs, and JJ's needs when you were growing up?
Yes.
Did you have some struggles as a teenager?
Yes.
Most teenagers do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And was she able to help you through those struggles?
Sure.
Were you involved in athletics as a teenager?
Yes.
And did that also help you through your teenage years?
Yes.
Did you struggle with depression as a teenager?
Yes.
And did Tylee also?
Yes.
And were you and Tylee able to talk about how to work through the depression?
Objection relevance.
Sustained.
Did you have suicidal thoughts as a teenager?
Objection relevance.
Before you answer, let me rule on the objection. I'll sustain the objection and I'll strike the answer and instruct the jury not to disregard that last answer.
Did your mother, Lori, help you and Tylee with thoughts of lack of self-worth?
Yes.
Did your mother encourage you to do good things in your life?
Yes.
Did your mother encourage Tylee to do good things in her life?
I don't know.
Were you out of the home by then?
Probably.
Okay. So you're 6 years older than Tylee?
Mm-hmm.
So how old were you when you left the home?
17.
And where did you go when you were 17?
Kansas.
And who did you live with there?
My uncle, Adam.
Okay. And then did you come back to live with Lori and Charles again?
Yes.
And where were you living then?
In Chandler, Arizona.
And did you graduate from high school?
No.
Did you get your GED?
Yes.
And is that the same with Tylee?
Yes.
Tylee did not graduate from high school but got her GED as well.
Objection leading.
Overruled. You can answer.
Yes, she did.
Okay. And so when you moved back home, did you go to college or what did you do?
I went to school.
And where did you go to school?
Chandler Gilbert Community College.
All right. Did you also go on an LDS mission?
Yes.
And how old were you when you did that?
18.
And where did you go?
Nampa, Idaho.
And how long did that last?
6 weeks at the most.
And then you decided to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And so did you actually make it to Nampa, or were you still being trained?
Yes,
Objection relevance.
I'll sustain the objection. Ask the jurors to disregard that last answer.
Was your mother supportive of your decision to go on a mission and then to come home from a mission?
Yes.
When you were taught by my client, did she teach you about Jesus?
Yes.
Did you and your mother sing songs about Jesus?
At church.
Did your mother teach you to believe in Jesus?
She built the foundation.
And did she teach you about multiple lives? Did you ever hear that from her?
No.
Did she teach you about multiple creations? Did you ever hear that from her?
No.
Did she teach you that you was someone else, that you were someone else in another life, in another world?
No.
Did she tell you that you had been someone else in a previous life in another creation?
Objected. Object asked and answered.
Overruled. You can answer.
No.
Did she teach you about zombies?
No.
Did she teach you about casting out evil spirits?
No.
Did she teach you about light and dark scales?
No.
Did she teach you about vibrations?
She said stuff about vibrations, but she never taught anything.
And what was vibrations about?
I don't know. She said me and her had the same vibration.
Did she say that as a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I would assume good.
Did you take it as a good thing?
I didn't take it as anything.
Okay. As a child, did she teach you that she was a goddess?
No.
Did she teach you that she was a leader of the 144,000?
No.
Did she teach you that the LDS Latter-day Saint religion was wrong?
No.
Did she teach you that you should join a new church called the Church of the Firstborn?
No.
When she taught you about Jesus, were they stories of Jesus healing sick people?
We read scriptures, if that's what you're talking about.
When she taught you about Jesus as a child, did she teach you that Jesus cast out evil spirits?
No.
Did she ever tell you that Jesus killed someone?
No.
So were you still at home when Charles filed for divorce from Lori?
No.
Were you at home when they reconciled?
No.
How was your relationship to Alex Cox?
Minimal.
How would you describe him?
Odd.
Was he always odd?
He was crude and kind of funny and odd.
What did you think of the relationship between Alex Cox and your mother?
I didn't really see Alex a lot until around my wedding.
So he wasn't someone who came to visit you as a child.
Not really.
And then what year was it you got married?
2018.
So in 2018, did you start to see Alex more?
Yes.
And then, but you were trying to spend less time because you had a new wife. You tried to spend less time around your mother and Alex.
I wouldn't say less time. I moved out.
Okay. And you wrote a book since this case started. Is that true?
Yes.
And the book is called The God Over Odds. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And what is the purpose of your book?
It's my testimony.
About how Jesus loves you?
About how he got me through my life.
And so Jesus is a good figure in your life.
Yes.
Not someone who would wreak damage to others.
No.
You also appeared on some media stations. Is that right?
Yes.
Some on YouTube.
Yes.
Was that your God over Odds Media Company?
No.
Okay. Is that still an ongoing concern, the media company? Or is
Not
that
right now, no.
Okay. And then you did a docuseries, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Were you paid for that?
No.
Okay. And in this docuseries, let me read this quote, and you tell me if that's what you said. My mom has spent her whole life protecting us kids.
Yes.
After she met Chad Daybell, she changed.
I don't remember, but yes.
Okay. And so those were this. You don't remember, but it in that docuseries, could have said that.
Yes.
In your book and in your docuseries, you talk a lot about your childhood,
Mm-hmm.
and you never once thought your mom would hurt someone. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Did you love your mom?
Yes.
Did she love you?
I think so.
Your book, you have a quote. This book is dedicated to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for always being there with me throughout my entire life. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And who taught you that God was good?
Church and my mom.
Another quote from your book. I'm here to tell you what God has done in my life and how he has gotten me through trying times. He is my strength. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Another quote from your book. God knows us better than we know ourselves, so he knows how to use us. He used our lives to glorify his name. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Also in your book, I struggled with depression in my teen years. I've been suicidal because I saw no hope.
Your Honor, I'm going to object based on our previous objection.
Sustained. I'll ask the jurors to disregard that last question.
You don't have thoughts of suicide now, do you?
No.
Objection.
All right, it's already been asked and answered. I'll sustain the objection again. Ask the jurors to please strike that last answer.
God has navigated me through all of life's obstacles. Is that a true statement?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. I don't have any other questions.
All right, Mr. Wood, if the state would like redirect, as we previously discussed, that went well outside the scope of your direct examination, so I'll allow you to go into any areas also brought up by the defense in that examination.
Your Honor, may the state take a brief recess?
Yes.
Just 5 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
If it's 5 minutes, why don't we all have, do we need to have the jurors excused, or you just need to get something situated?
I don't think we need to have the jurors.
Okay,
excused.
well, I'll just stand then. If you want to stretch your legs, you may. All right, Mr. Wood, if you'd like to commence with redirect, you may.
Thank you. Mr. Ryan, defense asked you about when you moved out of the home.
Yes.
Okay. Since the time you moved out of your home, has your mom ever asked you for money?
No.
Did she give you money?
Yes.
Did she ever ask you to do? Has she ever asked you for anything since you moved out of the home?
Nothing but to help them move.
Okay, just to help them move. Okay. Your father's still alive?
Yes.
You don't receive Social Security benefits for a dead parent?
No.
Okay. Does your mom control your bank account?
No.
But you testified she's given you money, right?
Yes.
In fact, at some point, didn't she even give you Tylee's debit card to purchase yourself a birthday gift?
Yes.
Okay. In the last several years, did your mom ever ask you to attend any special religious meetings?
No.
Okay. So she didn't ask you to come to her house and listen to Chad Daybell?
No.
She didn't ask you to come to her house and participate in something called castings?
No.
Okay. When did you find out where your mom had moved to?
After I saw it on the news.
Okay. And do you recall when that was?
That was December 19th, 2019.
So she didn't share that information with you?
No.
When did you find out that your brother and sister were missing?
The day that they had come to ask where they were.
Okay. And did you ever ask your mom about that?
No.
Okay. Did you ever have a conversation with your mom about her life insurance policy?
Yes.
What was the nature of that conversation?
I think when I was younger, she had told me that she had a life insurance policy, that if anything ever happened, that there was something there.
Did she ever tell you that she was listing you as the sole beneficiary of a life insurance policy?
I think when I was a teenager.
Okay. And Tylee and JJ were alive then, right?
Yes.
But she only listed you?
Yes.
Okay. I asked you earlier if your mom had asked you for anything. Do you know if your mom asked Tylee for money?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, State has no further questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wood. Any recross on that, Mr. Archibald?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that'll conclude your testimony then, Mr. Ryan. I believe Mr. Ryan may be here under subpoena also. Any objection to him being excused?
No, we don't. Well, Your Honor, we'd ask that he be kept under the subpoena just momentarily, but we can excuse him at the moment.
Okay, so you can go ahead and step down then. Mr. Ryan, just, I guess, remain here in the courthouse while you're still under subpoena until you receive further notice either from the court or the state. Thank you. All right, is the state ready to call its next witness?
At this time, the state would ask to publish State's Exhibit 34B to the jury. It's been previously admitted without objection.
All right, any objection to that being published at this time from the defense?
Well, Your Honor, if we have any questions about the audio, then maybe we can recall Mr. Ryan. But as of right now, it has been admitted, but I don't know why it wasn't played to the jury while we had a witness on the stand.
Yeah, it's a little unusual to just play an audio without any witness on the stand, I would say. I think the exhibits are, once they're admitted, they're part of the record, but they need to tie in somehow to a foundation of how they've come in, so.
Your Honor, it was already explained that this was a jail phone call between Colby Ryan and his mother. The foundation's already been established. We've asked to keep him under subpoena in case he needed to be brought back in for questioning. But due to the nature of it, we would ask to be able to just publish it to the jury now.
All right, I'll allow the exhibit, since it's been admitted, to be published, however, only on the condition that Mr. Ryan remain available and subject to recall if the defense has any further questions for him subsequent to publishing the exhibit. So at this time, we'll allow for the jurors to hear the recording on the exhibit 34B.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
You think you can hide from me? Probably because you murdered my siblings. That's probably why he's talking to you. Maybe you should understand.
I didn't. I'm sorry that you felt that way.
You didn't do anything, right? Mom, I've prayed for you in my worst moments. I have prayed for my siblings who swore to me we're okay. I thought I could trust you. I thought that you were a completely different person.
Mr. Wood, I apologize to interrupt. Could I have a brief sidebar with counsel? All right, we're going back on the record. I had a brief sidebar in relation to the, requests that have been made to publish this exhibit without the witness on the stand. I further have considered whether that would be appropriate. I don't know what the contents of the exhibit are because I've not yet reviewed them, but upon hearing it started, I think it would be appropriate that we would require the witness to be in attendance that is connected to this exhibit. So let me ask from the defense, does the defense wish to have the witness remain on the stand while the exhibit's published to the jury?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't know if we'll have any questions for him after it's played, but I think both the state and the defense should be entitled to ask questions if necessary after it's played.
All right. In consideration of that, I do find it's appropriate that the witness who was previously sworn and under oath would still be so, and he'll be required to observe through the publishing of this audio. So, Mr. Ryan, apologies for the inconvenience here. If you just return back up to the witness stand, and I'll have you remain here through the publishing of this exhibit in case there are any further questions from either side once the exhibit's been played. Mr. Wood, with that in mind, if you could start the recording over at the beginning, then we'll have it published to the jury at this time.
Hello? 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 You think you can hide from me? Probably because you murdered my siblings. That's probably why I'm talking to you. Maybe you should understand.
I didn't. I'm sorry that you felt that way.
You didn't do anything, right? Mom, I have prayed for you in my worst moments. I have prayed for my siblings who swore to me were okay. I thought I could trust you. I thought that you were a completely different person. I don't know a murderous mother.
You can make judgments when you weren't there and you don't know what happened.
What happened?
Everyone's making their own judgments.
Mom, you've been shoving BS on my throat for a very long time. I'm going to talk to you.
You can be
in
mad
a
at
sweet. Hey, listen to me. I'm not mad. Listen to me. Fine, listen to me. I've sat there and prayed. I can't tell you the amount of pain that I have felt from your decisions in Jesus Christ's name. It kills me to watch you sit here and tell me this is a trial. It kills me to watch you take the victim's route and say that this shouldn't have happened to you. When you are telling me that Chad Daybell came into your life, and all of a sudden, everything changes. And I'm talking about my spirit feels this. I'm afraid. I trusted you. I gave you every chance I could past my own limitations as a human being. I pushed past all of everything to try to get to you, to help my own mother. You lied to me, specifically to me, more times than I can count. To know that they're gone and you knew, and my phone's being texted by my little sister who's not even alive, my little brother who's the sweetest little kid ever. For what purpose? Can you tell me that this is God's will for my whole family, including my stepfather, to be dead? After everything you've tried to tell me, you can tell me right now that Jesus Christ, the Savior of the world, is on your side. You tell me that with all conviction in your heart that Jesus Christ is on your side. Please.
I can't tell you that.
Say it. Say his name. Say that he told you. And you followed him like exactness. Because I have I sat there and tried my best to forgive you and Chad and Alex, and I was deceived, and I was broken by my own mother. What are you doing? What are you doing? I prayed to Heavenly Father, and I said, you tell me, Father.
All right, have all made instructions. They think they know what happened. They think
I don't care about
they
other
know
people.
what happened. They think they know who's responsible.
Do you know what you told me?
Everything.
Do you know what you told me?
You weren't there, so
You're right. I wasn't there. I was kept in
that's
the
right.
lab.
And one day,
Two kids
you will know.
murdered.
One day,
Murdered.
you will know what actually happened.
You're right. You know what, Mom?
And we all will stand there with
Everything into the light. You're absolutely right. He will convict the people who act in his name with pure blasphemy. This is funny? This is funny? This is funny. You're laughing like this is funny. How come your camera's not on, Mom? You don't want to look at me in the eye? Why can't you look at me? It's
nice
just
to
you
talk
and me.
to
I'm in
you,
my house
folks.
alone.
I love you. I always will. One day you will see and one day you will understand.
Go ahead and
I
hang
do
up.
love
See
you.
how that works for you. You gonna hang up?
I don't have anything else to say. You obviously don't know.
Let me tell you
You weren't
something.
there. You weren't there. Summer wasn't there. My mom wasn't there. The police weren't there. The FBI weren't there.
You're right.
Nobody
Mom wasn't there.
was there.
Tyler and JJ, Mom.
Yeah, and guess what? They know. They know exactly what happened. And they love me. And we're still together forever. They love me. And they are fine. And they do know the truth. And I know the truth. And we're the only people that do. So you can judge me, Colby, all day long. Go ahead and judge me. The whole world has. The whole world has judged me.
Listen to me.
They don't know, and you don't know. You know what I've been through, and you don't even give a crap what they've been through. Nobody does. Except for me. I'm the one that knows. I am the one that was in the hospital with Tylee for hundreds of days watching her suffer. I am the one that was there doing everything with JJ every day. I was the one who did it all these years.
You did it all to throw it in the garbage. They're not.
You don't know what happened. You don't know what happened.
It doesn't matter what happened if they're buried in your new husband's backyard. Tell me that matters what happened. You tell me that you did this in Jesus' name, Mom. I have to hear that out of you. You believe it and you are not afraid. Every witness of Christ will scream his name when he comes back. So you are that person.
I am that person. I am that person. And he will come to you. Oh, yeah, Colby, because that's what it is. You don't even know. You weren't even there, and you don't even know.
When I see you outside in October, what did you tell me? What did you tell me? What lies did you feed me? Why would you lie to me if you were if you're with the Lord and you've seen him, and I'm just talking purely to you, and you've seen Jesus Christ, where's the fear? Why wouldn't you tell me something? Why were you afraid? Why is everyone against you? Why is everything against my mom?
You can be against me all you want. One day, we will all stand there with Jesus. We will all stand there with Jesus, and you will know the truth of everything.
Hey, isn't it?
Not for me.
You're telling me that this was all done in light. Say it. Tell me that this was done in Jesus' name.
You don't know what happened.
Why? Why don't I know, Mom? Oh, because I was kept in the dark to protect me? You know who needed protecting? My little dead siblings. That's who needed protecting, Mom. This
Where were you
is
to
not
do that? Is that what you think you did?
You ran.
I hadn't been.
A month later, you ran away. I never wanted you guys to leave. I would have taken those kids in 1 second. I would bring them into my home, and I would have taken care of them. That's not even a question to me.
Yeah, everybody
You can't say that you know.
Everybody says that.
says it now? Where was my offer?
I'm saying I did everything for them.
Well, me, we are ripping run away together in Hawaii. How about that? If you would have offered me, you would have known. You cannot sit here and lie.
That's not everything. That is not the truth. Okay? That's what people are
They were
thinking.
murdered,
They're
twisted
assuming.
around, and then you walked away. So we
No, you don't know that. No, that is not what happened. That is not what happened.
You tell me what happened. If you can tell me what happened, then I don't care. If you can actually explain it, then it's different.
I would love
But you can't.
to talk to you about it.
Mom, you've been saying that you've been wanting to tell me for a very long time, and you never say it. You have no idea how much pain I have felt in my body. I feel like I could die. My own mom, my siblings, and my whole family, my dad, everyone is gone except for you, and you're in jail because of it. I have prayed to Heavenly Father himself and asked him to help me survive this. Do you understand the freaking earthquake that has been caused? Do you know how many people are hurt and broken now? And you're telling me that there's a reason? Why are you following Chad down the rabbit hole, Mom? Why would you follow anybody that is not good? How can you follow someone that cannot lead you to salvation in Jesus, Mom? You can't lie to me anymore. You can't pretend anymore. You can't hide anymore. If you want to tell me what happened, I called you for that very reason. You had enough condemnation for the whole time and eternity, but you're telling me that you're going to stand in front of Jesus Christ and you're going to be fine. Then I'm still praying for you. I am still praying for you. I don't know where the lies and all these things are written. I don't see it. I never have. The light of Jesus Christ is the most powerful thing that's ever lived. It's the most loving, embracive thing that has ever happened to this world. And I pray that you see him and fall into his grace. I pray every day. I pray no matter how mad I am at you, no matter how bad I want to hit your husband in the face with a shovel. I pray for you. I pray for him. You ripped my heart out, and you ripped out everyone in this family's heart out. I'm going to be in Idaho this week. You need to look me in my eye, Mom. Look me in my eye.
All right, so that concludes the publication of Exhibit 34B. Does the defense have any further questions for the witness at this time?
No questions, Your Honor.
All
Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Okay, at this point then, can the witness be excused and released from the subpoena?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay, that'll conclude your testimony in the trial then, Mr. Ryan. Thank you for appearing. I'll ask the state next if you want to get into another witness at this time, or perhaps start the lunch break at this time is another option too. I think we can do that if that makes more sense given the timing.
Perhaps it would be best to break for lunch, and then we can start as soon as I get back.
Okay. We'll do that then. We'll try to be restarting no later than 12:30, so we'll take the lunch recess.